It is our commitment to international law and the United Nations Charter that informs our deep concern and action of the United States in Venezuela, which has undermined the territorial integrity and sovereignty of a UN member state called Venezuela. We reject utterly the actions that the United States has embarked upon and stand with the people of Venezuela. And we demand the release of President Maduro and his wife as well. We reiterate our call for decisive action by the United Nations Security Council to fulfill its mandate and advance peace and security.
From Pretoria to Accra, from Addis Ababa to the United Nations in New York, African nations are rallying behind Venezuela after the United States carried out a military operation that led to the capture of President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. The operation, announced by U.S. President Donald Trump, saw Maduro and Flores seized in Caracas and flown under heavy escort to New York, where they now face federal charges including narco-terrorism. Trump has since claimed Washington is prepared to assert control over Venezuela with U.S. troops if necessary. That declaration has triggered alarm across Africa. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has outright rejected the U.S. action, calling it a violation of Venezuela's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He has demanded the immediate release of Maduro and Flores and urged the UN Security Council to take decisive action to uphold international law. African leaders pointed to the scars left behind by past interventions, from Libya to Iraq, arguing that military invasions of sovereign states only deepen instability and dismantle national institutions. Speaking on behalf of the A3 group, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia, and Liberia, African diplomats warned that the situation in Venezuela threatens not just internal stability, but regional and global peace. They called for a solution driven by Venezuelans themselves through inclusive and nationally owned dialogue. Eritrea, representing the group of friends in defense of the UN Charter, condemned what it described as an act of aggression, accusing the United States of armed attacks on civilian and military targets and the illegal abduction of Venezuela's leadership. The African Union echoed those concerns, reaffirming its commitment to international law and insisting that Venezuela's challenges can only be resolved through political dialogue, not foreign force. West Africa's ECOWAS bloc stressed that while international crimes must be addressed, no country has the right to do so outside the bounds of international law. Ghana issued one of the strongest rebukes, condemning what it called a unilateral and unauthorized invasion, warning that attempts to control Venezuela's oil resources evoke the darkest chapters of colonial history. Namibia, invoking its own anti-colonial struggle, declared solidarity with Venezuela and reaffirmed the right of all nations to self-determination. Behind the scenes, African foreign ministers have also reached out directly to Caracas, pledging support, rejecting the use of force, and vowing action at the UN Security Council. From Senegal to Mali, from Angola to Niger, the message has been consistent. Sovereignty must be respected. Force must not replace law, and the Global South is watching closely. As Venezuela enters an uncertain chapter, Africa's stance has added weight to growing international pressure and raised a critical question for Washington. Is the world heading toward dialogue or toward a dangerous new precedent where power overrides principle?
Violating the fundamental sovereign rights of independent countries and deliberately breaching established international law are truly perilous steps that can inevitably lead to extremely serious and widespread complications on a truly global scale. In my phone conversation with President Trump of the United States, I also conveyed our country's sensitivities to him.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has sharply criticized the United States for detaining Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro, calling the operation a dangerous breach of international law that could destabilize the global order. Speaking on Monday, Erdogan described Maduro's seizure as regrettable and warned that undermining state sovereignty carries serious consequences beyond any single country. "We do not condone any action that violates international law," Erdogan said, adding that Turkey was acting in the interests of both its own people and the friendly Venezuelan people.
An unfortunate incident is taking place in a country 11,000 kilometers away from our homeland, a country that has close friendly relations with Turkey. The first thing that comes to the mind of the CHP chairman is to attack us, to pick a fight with us. No matter where in the world it happens, we do not approve of any action that violates political legitimacy and international law. Regarding the Venezuela issue, we are striving to do whatever is best and most correct both for Turkey and for the friendly people of Venezuela. Violating the fundamental sovereign rights of independent countries and deliberately breaching established international law are truly perilous steps that can inevitably lead to extremely serious and widespread complications on a truly global scale. In my phone conversation with President Trump of the United States, I also conveyed our country's sensitivities to him.